I was 15 years old and I did not believe I could finish anything I started. I would set a goal, study every day, meditate every day, study more, study harder, whatever. And I would fail within a week every single time. So when I decided to meditate for 30 days straight, a part of me already knew how the story would end. I wanted it because I read there somewhere that meditation would sharpen my focus and boost my grades. I wanted to beat the top students in my class. But the real reason ran deeper than the grades. Some of my classmates even laughed at me when they saw me trying to compete with the best and the smartest kid of my class. I wanted to prove them wrong. And more important than that, I wanted to prove myself wrong. Because if I fail this one more time, I would have to accept it. That I was just someone who never follows through ever. And here is what actually happened and the system that came out of it. One I have now used to pass my past year final medical exams in 90 days and also applying to this YouTube channel right now. First attempt for 1 week, then I quit for months. And then I give it a second try, once or twice a week, never consistent, gave up again. But the third attempt, I went all in every single day. If I missed a day, I picked it up immediately, never 2 days in a row. If I could, I would make it up by doubling the next session. Like more meditating, for instead of 10 minutes, I would meditate for 20 minutes if I missed the previous day. But the most important rule was I never missed 2 days in a row. That was the shift, not motivation, a rule. One summer morning, I woke up at 6:50 a.m. Birds were singing outside, cicadas were doing their warm summer aesthetic, and for the first time in longer than I could remember, I felt completely at ease in my own skin. I walked into the school that day, and my friends noticed even before I said a word. You look really confident, Alpha. You look the most peaceful I've ever seen you. You look happy. 30 consecutive days. The same classmates who laughed at me were now the ones telling me how different I looked. I didn't need to say to them, I told you so. My face already did. That 30-day turned into 90. And somewhere in there, I stopped caring about proving anyone wrong. Because I already knew that I could do it. What I walked away with wasn't just a habit, it was a system. Here is what it actually is. Every week, I would set a concrete number. It's not meditate more, it's how many minutes this week. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Every time it goes up. It's not get fit. It's how many reps of push up this week, how many reps of squat this week. Then each week onward, I would nudge it slightly, a little more than week before. That is called progressive overload. You don't directly jump from 5 minutes to 30 minutes. You earn it in a small increment over time where your mind and your body can actually absorb and improve upon it. Back in high school, bro, my goal has always been big. It was like get fit or meditate more. But big goals are how I failed the first two times. Big goals are how I already failed. If you set big goals, you're not going to succeed. To succeed, you have to first of all be consistent, and to be consistent, you have to have consistent goal that you can maintain, and you have to figure out for yourself where you can start, and then you can slowly improve from that onward. If you set too big of a goal at the very beginning, you are most likely to fail because you will convince yourself that you cannot do it, and then you won't do it. That's how our brain works. It's psychological. Your brain plays psychological war on you, which is why you have to start from manageable, controllable goals and then progressively overload, improve it over time, increase it over time, whether it's exercise, studies, meditation, whatever it is. It is a universally applicable rule. You progressively overload everything because a number is the difference between a wish and a plan, bro, and you have to understand that. But it took me a long time to understand this, and which is why I failed again and again and again. But now I understand it's all a number game. This is exactly why I track my time when I work on my YouTube channel right now. Because if I know that if I don't track my times, I am not going to work consistently. And I will give up or I will waste a lot of time for no reason. This is why tracking a number is important. But more important than that is never miss 2 days in a row. Why? You are allowed to miss one. Life happens, you get sick, something comes up. But the moment you miss two, the habit starts to die. This is why you should never miss 2 days in a row. This is the exact rule that made my third attempt different from the first two. Attempts 1 and 2 died because I missed a day and then 2 days and then 3 days and then it turned into a week. This is how I missed weeks after weeks, days after days. And that's how I failed every goal I started. Because I would miss too many days and then I would feel like a failure and then I would never do it again. I would never start again. which is why maintaining consistency through 2 days rule is very important. Because even if you miss one day or skip one day, you are still not missing your streak or your continuous progress. Because one day is fine, one day happens, bro. It's fine, let it go. But even right when it's 2 day, you begin again. No matter how big or small it is. Even if you cannot do the best of your ability, just do the bare minimum. Like for example, you meditate for 10 minutes per day now, but you missed one day and the next day you are going to start again. If you cannot do it 10 full minutes, just do it 2 minutes. If you cannot do 10 push-ups, just do 2 push-ups or 1 push-up. Just maintain your consistency by doing the bare minimum. It's fine. As long as you are not breaking your consistency, as long as you are not breaking your streak. That is the most important thing. Now the second rule is every Friday, sit down for 15 minutes, look at the week. Did you hit your numbers? By chance, if a goal has completely fallen off, this is where you restart it before it becomes dead for months. I honestly actually never did this in high school. I actually recently learned it from Ali Abdal, recently as in like last year, but it's a bit too late. I should have learned it earlier on, but it is what it is. But what it does is actually it resets your expectation, and if you don't hit your goals, it primes you for your next week. So check your weekly goals and then see if you hit it or missed it, and then you set up a weekly plan for next week so that you hit the goal that you missed this week. This is why in high school I would just find out I have failed weeks too late, when the gap already felt too big to close. This is why the Friday checkup catches you at day 3 or at least day 7, not day 30. This at least maintains you that you are hitting your weekly goals, and even if you miss 1 or 2 week of goal, you can still hit your monthly goals. But more important than all of this rule is that you have to understand that your willpower runs out every time. It will run out. I can guarantee you that from the personal experience. I know that willpower will always runs out. So the goal isn't to have more of it or force more willpower into doing something you want to do. It's to eliminate the need to have more of it, or in other words, it's to need less of it. Design your environment to make the right choice the easy one. Make the phone wallpaper your class schedule if you want to consistently do your classes and don't miss them. Junk food out of your house. Don't keep any junk, unhealthy food in your fridge. Keep pen and notebook already open, or at least write at the desk so that you can write, whether you want to write short story or do some studies, so that you can just get into the workflow without wasting too much time. Because bro, I'll tell you this. The mornings I meditated without a fight, internal fight with myself or my psyche, weren't the mornings where I felt the strongest. They were the morning when my cushion was already out, timer already set. Even before I brush my teeth or wash my face, I would just set a timer up or put my phone and ready up the meditation app that I use for timer. So there is nothing between me and starting. I have already set up the environment so that I can just get back to work or get back to meditating immediately I come back from the bathroom or washroom. I didn't beat myself down with more willpower. That never happened. Actually, pushing more willpower actually made me feel more drained and made me feel like I'm not actually improving and made me feel like a failure. I beat it by removing the moments where willpower was actually required. I made it so that my environment is helping me start any work that I have to do instead of relying on willpower. Because I know the more I rely on willpower, the more I feel drained, the more I'm more likely not to do it. But you do need some willpower, and you have that. You have enough willpower. But the goal is to not waste too much willpower or use too much willpower, but rather to just get started as soon as possible. Start a timer, have pen and paper, turn on the laptop and start writing. Or if you have to write a script for YouTube, or you have to write notes on pen and paper, just get the pen and paper ready out. Remove the friction, lower the friction as much as you can. And this is what really helped me. You need the initial edge or the initial push with your willpower to get started, but it should be as minimum as possible. That is how you get more done in your day, because your willpower is limited. It will drain. Your willpower will always drain out. So it's better to smartly and efficiently use it by using it as less as possible and getting more work done. Because once you get started, you don't need more willpower. Your motivation will carry you through. And it's not like you need motivation to start. No, you don't need motivation to start. You can use slight willpower to start. System is more important than willpower. Obviously, this is why I'm giving you these systems. But you do need some willpower sometimes, because there is always going to be some type of resistance. But the best thing is that once you get started, even with a very minimum of work, like one push-up instead of doing 10 or 20, or writing just one sentence of note of your story, of your script, that's all you need. Once you get started, the motivation will flow. Motivation comes from within. If you don't know how to generate intrinsic motivation, instead of watching videos or getting external motivation, you won't be successful. Motivation has to come from within, and motivation will generate from within when you actually start working. This is why you have to use this system, so that you just get to work. And I am running this system, this exact system on my channel right now, on this specific channel, to grow my YouTube. 1 hour a day, timer on my desktop or my phone, usually on my desktop, because I'm working on my desktop and I like to see the timer ticking. And it's non-negotiable. It's ideation, scripting, filming, real work only. I set a timer for 1 hour, I saw it ticking, I get to work and I actually focus on the work. The moment the timer starts, I stop everything, no more thinking anything else, focus on work. Not social media, not watching random YouTube video, calling it research. That's actually just watching random videos. I stop the clock if I start doing that. Unless it's actually research related to thumbnail design or something, then I'm allowed to do it because it's real work. But the moment it becomes just watching random videos in terms of research, I stop the clock. Watching more YouTube video is not the goal. Doing the actual work so that I can record more YouTube video, that is the goal. Which is why I stop the clock the moment I get distracted. And you have enough self accountability. I believe in you that you have enough self accountability to know when you are not working and wasting your time. So when I waste my time, I just stop the clock. That's it. That's simple.